Hello, welcome back to Module 4. In this video, we're going to talk about content management. Now, content management is really just how we're going to deal with posts versus pages and comments, and how we're going to design the site from a content perspective. And content, what I'm referring to is really things like this, like your page that says sample page and all the text that's on it and the images that are displayed, all the content that's on your website that's accessible to people on the web. So when you're setting up your site, the first thing you need to identify and be aware of is what your site is used for. So for example, in this demo of the site that we're creating for Repurpose Chattanooga, I'm pretending that I'm a wood repurposer and someone who does this as a trade, and maybe I work out of my garage or my home or something, and I'm creating a website that lets people know what I do, what kind of work I do, just visibility on the web, and something that I can put on a business card and give to people. And at the same time, maybe I want to have a blog that I do little posts or Pinterest things about repurposed wood and different ideas like that. So what I'm going to do, the way I'm going to design this page or this particular WordPress site, is I'm going to utilize the posts option as my blog, and then I'm going to utilize the pages options as my website, as the website pages, which is a real basic, straightforward, makes sense type of a way to use WordPress. But keep in mind, you don't have to follow that method. You can use just pages and totally not mess with posts. You can use just posts. It's totally up to you. What I will point out though is that posts has the ability to assign categories to them. So when I write a new post, I can actually assign a category to the post and a tag. And the power of that is something that we kind of saw in our last video when I was showing you the functionality. When you create a menu, you can actually create a menu item that directs you to a category. And when you click that menu item, it takes you to a category that displays all the posts that are under that category. And so there may be some reason you want to use that for regular content that's not blog related. In my case, it makes perfect sense to use it for a blog because I can have different categories for repurposing or different types of topics that I want to cover in my blog, and then I can have category links under a menu item at the top called blog. I'll be able to create a link at the top that says blog and then sublinks underneath that have the categories listed. And I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. So just kind of think out and try to maybe draw out on paper how you want your site to look and feel and what kind of user experience you want to have. And that will give you an idea of which method to use and how to design it. So I'm going to take you through this starting with pages. We're going to go ahead and set up all our pages. So the first page is just a sample page, obviously. And I'm going to just edit it because I already have a link directing to it, and I can edit everything about it. So I'm going to say on the sample page, I'm going to call this my home page because that is going to be my home page. Okay, so now I'm going to add some content to this. I've removed what was there. And before I do this, I'm going to have an image on this home page, but I want to point something out. If I add an image first, I don't know if this is kind of a weird problem with WordPress or what, but if I add an image first and then I try to add text and I hit enter, it does that, and then it does that, and then it does that. So it doesn't let me put the text to the right of the image like I want to. So there's a workaround for that, and it's real easy. I just go all the way back as if I didn't do anything, and I add my text. So I'm going to just add some text really quick, and then when I'm finished adding it, I'm going to pause while I do that, and then I'll resume so you can see what to do next. Okay, so I've put in some text here and made up some stuff, and it's just all basic text. I haven't done anything with the sizing or the fonts or anything like that. I'll show you how to do that in a second. But now I want to put a picture to the left of all of this. So I put my cursor to the top left corner, and I hit add media. Then I'm going to add this image, and I'm going to make sure it does not have a link. So I'm going to say none. And I'm going to go with full size and then click insert into page. As you can see, now it's nicely snuggled up over to the left and just like I wanted it to be, so everything looks good. So now I want to change my text a little bit. So I want this to be a heading, and I want it to be centered. So I'm just going to center that using the tools up here. And then from this drop down where it says paragraph, I can actually change that to be heading 1, and now it's a large heading. And now the fonts are not necessarily going to look the way they do on this page. And let me just give you an example. So that looks like Times New Roman or something similar. I'm going to update that. And then we're going to go over to the web page and actually look at what it looks like in real life. you can see here it doesn't actually look like Times New Roman. And the reason for that is this theme is applying its particular font. So when you choose a theme, you're also choosing a font that goes with it. And everything looks pretty good. It actually fits perfectly with that image as a nice, snug little homepage. So I'm pretty satisfied with that. And so just keep that in mind when you make changes to this. You may get frustrated looking at it like, what font is that? Or there's nowhere to change the font. But it's right there. The font is theme specific. So the next thing I want to show you is just some of the little page attributes over to the right that you can take a look at here. Under page attributes, we have template, default template, and there's also full width page. So if I change it to full width page and click update, you can see how that will change the way it looks in real life. And that just makes it wider. So now we have a full page and our sidebar has disappeared. And so I'm actually going to go ahead and go with that option because I like that for a home page. And then once they're digging into the site, they can get the sidebar further on. But for the home page, I just want it to be one basic thing with a nice picture. So I am going to make a couple tweaks here. I'm going to just put a return here and maybe a return here and update that and just make sure that space is out correctly. There we go. So it looks a little more spaced out and clean. Now you'll notice every time I scroll down there's this leave a reply segment, and we'll talk about that in a minute because we're going to talk about comments and what to do about them and how to hide those when you want to hide those, etc. So now that we've created our first page, I'm going to go ahead and create another one. I'm going to do an about page. So I'm going to click add new down here on the left. And when you click the add new button, it just brings you up to brand new page, enter page title. So I'm going to put about and hit tab. And I want you to notice something. When I click tab, a little thing appears here that says permalink. And remember in the previous videos, when we changed the permalink and we told it not to do p equals 1, 2, 3, whatever. And now it's saying about, so that's the slug that it's going to use. But I can actually edit that. So I could say I want it to be about us. So when somebody visits about us, it comes up with about, or whatever. Or I can just leave it as is. So in here, I'm going to just add some fake about information. Okay, so as you can see, I've updated this page with some text. And so now we have a new published page called about. And over here, on our website, we have an about link now that takes us to that page. If I click that, it takes me to the about page. You can see I have these items to the right because I did not set it as full width, and I'm ready to create another page. So I'm just going to create a contact page, and then we'll get over to posts. So I'm going to pause the video while I do that. Okay, so created a contact page, not a very nice one, but we don't really need it to be. And then I published it. So when I published it, it should automatically create the menu item. I can't remember if I unchecked that box or if I left it checked. Oh yeah, so it does say automatically create. So when I hit refresh, I should now have a contact page. There it is. And I can click that, and there's my contact info. And then my about page, and of course the three items I created before. So I'm just going to go ahead and clean up this menu a little bit. We're going to move this down and delete this one. And we're going to delete this category menu item. We don't need that. So now we have home, about, contact, and repurpose ideas. So now that I have all these reorganized, I actually want to keep this repurpose ideas link that goes out just for testing purposes, but I don't want it to be its own menu item. I want it to be a part of a menu item called resources. So what I'm going to do is actually create another menu item, take away the HTTP. I'm just going to do hashtag, and I'm going to call this resources. And I think this will work. And I'm going to hit add to menu. And then we have resources. I'm going to put this underneath it so that's the parent, and it will pop out to this guy. Make sure it still says hashtag, perfect. Click save menu. And then I'm going to test it out in the real site and see how that looks. So now if I click on resources, it doesn't actually do anything. It doesn't actually go anywhere. So that's perfect. I don't want it to go anywhere because it has nowhere to go. The hashtag lets it work that way. And then if I go down, of course, repurpose ideas takes me to that other website. Okay, so now that we have our menu set up the way we want to, we have some pages on our website. Now I'm going to talk about posts. So as I said before, I want to use posts as actual posts for a blog. So I'm going to just go in here under posts, and I'm going to remove this first one here. We don't need that anymore because I'm going to create new blog entries. And once you delete a post, it goes into the trash. And so I'm going to actually go in the trash and remove it from there. Only do that, of course, if you're ready to delete it permanently, which I am. I don't need the hello world post. And there, now I'm clear, I have no more posts. But before I add any new posts, I'm going to go in and set up my categories. That's the first step you need to do if you're setting up any type of a post system or blog system within your site. So in this instance, I'm going to clear out some of these, my blog entries. I don't need that one. And I can't actually delete this one because it's the only one left and because it's the default category under the settings. And we'll go there in a second and look at that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say my blog is going to have categories like reclaimed ideas or reclaim ideas. I don't need to worry about the slug. It creates it for me. And we'll say ideas on reclaiming wood. And I'll add that category. Then I'm going to put another category called, let's just say daily tips. And let's do another one called how to. And then let's do a last one. Let's make one for rants and raves. So these are just some sample categories that I might want to publish blog posts under. Okay, so now we have all these categories created. There's one last category that's super important that we create, and you'll see why in a second. I'm going to create one called blog. And I'm going to add that category. And then I'm going to jump over to settings and writing. And when I get here, you'll see the default category is uncategorized. I'm going to change that to blog. And you'll see why we're doing this in just a moment. I'm going to hit save settings. Okay, so now our default post category is blog. So let's head back over to posts.